So coming to my topic, taxonomy of catfish of Indian subcontinent. In fact, I'm a fish ecologist, I would say, because I'm more interested in species habitat relationship, looking at the species, how it is interacting with the environment, and what it does, what is their niche, and especially resource partitioning, how they are sharing the resource within the small community, and more specifically stream community. I do all these observation. By the day, end of the day, I need to know the species, what species are it. That is the way, I slowly acquired the skill of, identifying the species. Mostly my skills are more related to like a field oriented thing, looking at the specimen, picking up some characters, just like parataxonomy. So identifying the pinpointing the species. So that's what I started my taxonomic learning. And very specifically catfishes, why I'm interested, they are very secretive animal. Their activities are we do not know actually what. So knowing the secrecy of the secret, it is very interesting actually. So that's what I'm more keen to understand the morphological diversity and their ecological role. So that is the way I picked up this group. And moving to the siluriform catfishes. Yesterday you had a wonderful talk by Rameshwari. I think now you are much clear about what is a catfish. So even though just to refresh your the knowledge, especially young the researchers. So catfishes, they are a group of fish. There are certain characters, with that we can nail down this is actually catfish. For example, chordate, we say actually. There are 4 principal characters which exactly nail down what is a character of what is the salient feature of a chordate. So presence of notochord, presence of tubular nerve cord, the pharynx, then again post-anal tail. So if these characters they're in the any developmental stage or any life history stages of the anywhere organism, we call as a chordate. Similarly, the siluriform, it also has specific characters. For example, the no scales on the body. So that is one of the important body, without scale, head with strong bony plate, especially the backside of the skull. There are 2 the bones, parietal bone joined together, and it form a structure called occipital process. So that is the one unique thing. Plus the bones are not very heavy actually. Skulls are very heavy when compared to the other fish. Then fins, especially pectoral fins, they are highly specialized, aided with a strong spine with a lot of teeth like serration. So that is again unique characters. And well developed sensory barbels around the mouth. That's why we call as catfish. So sensory barbels, their role is mainly sense the or detect the prey species inside the water, as well as the sense the water quality. So since the barbels looks like a whisker, so the entire group we are calling as catfish actually. Then usually an adipose dorsal fin you will find actually. So yesterday, I think somebody was asking what is the role of adipose dorsal fin, all those things. Since I am more keen to learn the ecology, so I always relate with the body character with the ecological role actually. So what I found, the adipose dorsal fin, it is it's a membranous, the outlayer, large amount of fat molecule deposited inside. So the species or the individual which is living in the habitat, I tell about the habitat. If the fish which is there in the torrential nature, you will find a well-developed the adipose fin. So adipose refers to less fat molecules, basically adipose. So the fat molecules will be deposited because the organism living in such a chaotic nature, they need a lot of energy to overcome the water current. So this tissue will supply energy need. They are very good swimmer. They need more energy, so the fat molecules will be deposited. So that is one of the special characters for the most of the catfish. Now, apart from the morphological character, there are other unique, the features we can see in the catfishes. So catfishes are nocturnal. Yesterday, I think Dr. Radhakrishnan was mentioning. So they're all nocturnal. Most of them are nocturnal. Their activity patterns you can see in the the night actually. Nocturnal behavior. If you want to catch a catfish, you have to devise a net or equipment in the night. Then you'll get a good thing. Since they are active during night, so they have well developed the barbels actually, because night there is a limitation for the light, so they need a powerful sense organ to detect the prey predator inside the waters. That's why they have very good well developed sensory barbels around the mouth. Second thing, there are almost all the catfishes are carnivorous. They are predatory carnivorous. No matter the size, actually, if it is a small, means they will forage on the small insect larvae or the worms which are there in the river or the bottom layer of the aquatic habitat. So most of them are carnivorous. Sometimes people say that I found the gut of catfish having a large amount of algae or large amount of basically periphytons, then detritus matter. That means while foraging along with the food they also ingest the other food stuff. So basically they're all carnivorous, predatory carnivorous. And even if you want to check any fish, not only catfish, whether it's a carnivorous fish or a herbivorous fish or omnivorous, just you can measure the length of the gut, the distance between the mouth and the anus. That will approximately tell their feeding habit. So most of the catfishes, you'll have a short gut actually, but they have a very well developed muscular stomach, and the muscular stomach is also supported with a lot of the digestive glands, livers. They add a lot of digestive enzyme into the stomach. In the case of herbivorous fish, most probably like if you take a labio, the distance between the mouth and when it's very far away actually. They have very long gut. There is no stomach because they retain more time inside the food for especially they eat algae and diatoms or herbivorous material. So they retain more time inside the gut to digest the cellulase or lignite material. So then, apart from that, catfishes, most of them they live in the bottom. So basically, they are actually negatively buoyant. The reason is that they have a heavy skull, and the air bladder is highly reduced in shape. So they always live in the bottom. There are exceptional. Some of them are living in the column. Few of them living in the surface layer also, but mostly they live in the bottom. And so these are some of the unique feature which the catfishes are adopted and derived. And the name Siluriform itself, it indicates something. It's a very ancient group actually. Actually, if you see the evolution of especially teleost fish, it get diversified in the Devonian period. And though it's teleost or bony fish, but it has a resemblance like the previous group called a Placodermi. So that was evolved in the Silurian period. There are many body, like plates, the osseous plate, and even skull also. You will find like a plate-like structure. So it believes that we believe that they have a ancestor from the Silurian period. So that would be one of the reason for bearing the name Siluriform. But I may be wrong actually. But this I'm trying to search out the exact literature for why the name Siluriform. So moving to the classification of catfish, I already told when you are moving in the field, sometimes we may not carry the equipment to measure the morphological characters, and we do not have any the taxonomy. Normally sometimes we may not carry any taxonomy key to check whether what is the species, but at least picking up some character we can nail down what is this family. at least up to genus level. So that's what I'm going to talk about here, because within a 1 hour, at least we can reach up to family level, and some extent genus level we can reach. Some of the key characters we need to observe. So when you have a fish, so one is actually serration, the teeth pattern, serration, or the spine pattern in the the one of the character the pectoral spine serration. So that we need to look. Second, the occipital process. So this group wise, species wise, the external occipital process, whether it is touching the origin of the dorsal fin, is there any gap? What is the gap? It is a narrow gap or wide gap. So these are the other characters which will tell about the what type of catfish, what group it belongs. Then barbels around the mouth. There are different barbels you will find the just over the the nostril. That barbel is called nostril barbel. Then usually you will find a pair of barbels around there, above the mouth, the upper jaw. It's called maxillary barbels, and one or two barbels in the pairs in the lower jaw is called mandibular barbels. So number as well as the pair of barbels, that is also one of the unique characters. And the shape and size of the dorsal fin. So that also very, very important when you are observing, when you are looking at the fish. Sometimes very short dorsal fin with strong spine, and the entire dorsal fin kept inside like membranous fold, and very tiny hair like dorsal fin. You'll find some group you'll have very long dorsal fin, especially the Claridae group, long dorsal fin you'll find. So the size and the nature of the dorsal fin is another important character one you have to look. Then adipose dorsal fin. So adipose dorsal fin size and the extent also a matter. Sometimes you'll find a very tiny loop-like structure. Sometimes only just like a membrane fold kind of structure you'll find, and well arched, like a sealed kind of structure you'll find in some of the catfish. So that is also you need to consider. Then finally, especially Cisaridae catfish, the patterns of sucking apparatus, adhesive pad. Some may be like oval shape. It will be longer than the broad, or sometimes broader than the long. And in the patterns, the transverse pattern or longitudinal pattern, and the extent, how far it is there. So these are the other characters that you need to be consider when you are looking at the group or species. So in this session, I'm just planning to give the important salient feature of 12 the Siluriform family, starting from Hylidae, Acacidae, Ampliceftae, Eridae, Bagridae, Chalkidae, Claridae, Heterophoenistidae, Orobagridae, Bangacidae, Siluridae, and Cisaridae. Cisaridae, yesterday you had an extensive talk about the Cisaridae and its diversification, and I'm not going to touch more on Cisaridae, but rest of the group how to identify, how to recognize the family, so that I can share. I have a specimen for all this group. If time permit, the end of the session, after closing the screen, I can show the representative of each group. I can show. I have right now with me. So coming to the first family, it's Sylvidae. So the first identifying character, I told 12 family we are going to see. These 12 families are widely distributed in the Indian region, as well as the Indian subcontinent, as well as the Southeast region. So that is the reason I picked up 12 family. So we are going to nail down. We are going to narrow down what is the family. So first one is Sylvidae. So this group, the first character, the laterally compressed body. That is one of the characters. Second, dorsal fin will be there, but dorsal fin is supported by strong by. There are genus without a dorsal fin. So I'll come to later. So if it is there, dorsal fin is there, very strong, the bony structure you will find. So laterally compressed body, then dorsal fin with supported with thing. Sometime no adipose dorsal fin may be there or may not be there. So that is an additional characters. And the entire 12 family, what I'm going to talk, this is the one group you have laterally compressed body. The next one is the Siluridae. Siluridae also you will find a laterally compressed body, but how it differs, you can easily find out. There will be a dorsal fin, very tiny hair-like dorsal fin, but without any bone, any spine on the dorsal fin. So that is one unique character for the Siluridae. Second thing, the Siluridae family, the post-dorsal region is it's more longer than the Sylviidae family, and which is supported by, you will find a very long ventral fin in the Siluridae family when compared to the So these two these two family, whatever the 12 family I'm talking, you will find a laterally compressed body. So when you in the field, if you find a laterally compressed body, either it could be a Sylviidae or it could be a Siluridae. And Siluridae means definitely you will find a dorsal fin with hair-like structure, no spine. Then you can easily segregate. This is Siluridae, this is Sylviidae. So generally, this Sylviidae group, they are medium to large size, and very commonly you will find four genus: Allia, Clupisoma, Ustropithecus, Ceylonia. So these are all four species widely distributed in the Indian subcontinent. And again, coming down to the genus level, Hyla. So Hyla is among the four families, Sylviidae, the group among the four genus. Hyla can be easily distinguished. You can easily find out because there is no dorsal fin on there is no dorsal fin is absent. There will be a adipose dorsal fin, very tiny. Sometimes you can see, you can't able to make out, but tiny, like a small droplet-like structure you will find, but there is no no dorsal fin. Laterally compressed body, there is no dorsal fin, then directly you can come to the Hyla family. If the dorsal fin is there without spine, then it will go to the Siluridae. So then second one is the Clupisoma. So Clupisoma, you have a laterally compressed body, then dorsal fin, you will find a spine. Then there is no adipose dorsal fin here. So within the Sylviidae family, so there is a dorsal fin, spine is there, but there is no adipose dorsal fin. So directly you can come to the Clupisoma. Second, mouth is not not much wide, as much like the rest of the group, like Ustropithecus and Ceylonia. So, and the dorsal profile it's more or less straight. Even if you see the body will be like a little round shape when you look at from the dorsal, and the dorsal profile is more or less straight. When come to the Ustropithecus, within the Ceylonia, you have a very well arched dorsal profile, and the dorsal fin is with a strong spine, and in addition you will find adipose dorsal fin. When compared to Ustropithecus and the Ceylonia, it's more or less similar, but you can see the body profile again. It's more or less straight here, but the mouth is quite wide in the Ustropithecus. Even it go beyond the eye. So that is the unique characters. Though the mouth opening, it's very wide, it go beyond the thing. So here Ceylonia, it will reach up to the in front of the eye. So these are the small minor character. If you observe the field, easily you can narrow down what is the genus, what is the but species level, again you need to look at the taxonomy key, and you have to come to the lab, and you have to sit and look at all these fine characters. So moving to the second family, Acacidae. So here the salient feature, it's a strong piercing spines you will find in the dorsal fin as well as the pectoral fin. And apart from that, these fins, dorsal and pectoral fin, always covered with like a membrane, thick membrane you will find. It is very closely resembled to the like Pseudologevia or Caesaridae catfish, but here there is no adhesive pad. There is no thoracic apparatus or thoracic adhesive pad, but these fins are with like thing. Then the body, there are line of the tubercle-like structure you'll find that has a many tubercle 2 or 3 or 4 lines, you will find. So these are small characters, very cryptic species. So mostly you'll find in the streams, and more they are so far it is reported from northeastern regions as well as the Manipur region. So there are even Myanmar, so southeast region. So the central India or the other part of the Himalaya, we don't have a representation. So northeast region, you'll find only one species represented. So this is what I think. Third one is Ampliciphidae. It's a very tiny catfish. Normally in the literature, people say the torrential catfish, but ideally it can't withstand that much torrential flow. Actually, it will be there in the flow area. Even then, the streams are like a slow moving stream with a secondary channel where you have like a riffle kind of structure. They stay actually because the morphology, they don't have any such adaptive character. If you see this Sisoridae catfish, so they are really not torrential habitat because they have adaptive structure to withstand fast current. They prefer flow. Normally they will live in like a shallow flowing area. If you want to look at this species, especially secondary channel area where you have a very small running water, that is simply divert that water, you will get actually they will be inside rocky area. And the unique feature of this species, this group, the dorsal fin is very small, and the entire dorsal the fin, it kept like it is kept inside a membranous saccade actually. So very fleshy membrane structure you will find. And then the dorsal view, if you see the head, the posterior region, it looks like like a triangular. These are some of the field the observation. So when you catch and when you find out what is this genus or family, so these are the characters it will tell about exactly what is that. And very tiny the membrane fold adipose tissue will find. So caudal fin is variable. Some there are more than 9 species reported from the India and Indian subcontinent region, especially in the Burma region. And caudal fin tail is variable. You will find a fork or truncate or emarginate, all those things. And very very secretive fish, and they live in the fast flowing, fast in the sense the flowing water section of the channel. And this one is called Eridae. So Eridae are actually basically sea catfish, and you will find in the estuarine region or brackish water region, even in the coastal region of the sea area you will find. And the external looks normally whenever you go to whenever we go for sampling in the mangrove area, we always get like a Eridae fish. It almost mimic with the Bagridae family, especially one catfish called Mistus gullio. So always if you engons of Eridae group, if you get immediately it mimic with the Mistus gullio. Mistus gullio also you will find in the estuarine region. The striking difference between the Bagridae and as well as the Eridae, very strong. One is actually a strong spine in the both pectoral and I think even Bagridae also some group like for example Rita and all, you have a strong spine in the dorsal. But if you see the barbels, only 3 pairs of barbels you will find. Nostril barbel is absent. Second thing, the distance between the 2 nostrils is comparatively very narrow thing. So with that, you can able to narrow down whether it's a Bagridae or Eridae. Actually, very strong spines in both the dorsal. And if you got a fish from the like brackish water as well as the marine habitat, definitely you will come to know the Eridae group. Actually, they are basically called sea catfishes. Then next one is the Bagridae. It's the largest group, and everybody actually it's widely distributed. I would say all type of habitat you will find, whether it's the streams or river or canal, wetland, or any type of water body, you will find this Bagridae catfish. The one of the striking character, you will find a long maxillary and mandibular barbels when compared to the other catfish. Well developed spines in the dorsal as well as the pectoral fin, and mostly the pectoral fins are you'll find a fine serration. Anal fin comparatively short. Normally, some other group, you'll find a very long anal fin. Even it will reach up to it will confluent with caudal fin origin, but it is very short. and few rays you will find. Adipose dorsal fin is well developed. Some cases you will find, like a very long shield. The fish which is there, this is actually Mistus cavaceus or Gangetic catfish. It's a striking character. It starts from the end of the dorsal fin. It will go up to the, so that is one of the unique character of this Mistus cavaceus. So generally, adipose dorsal fin is well developed. There are 7 genera found in the Indian subcontinents: Batasia, Mistus, Hemibragus, Olira, Rama, Rita, and Sparato. So these are the some of the Bacridae catfish. So now just I will move to the genus level. So Batasia is like a normally stream catfish. Even the Western Ghats also there is a species, Batasia travancorea, and northeast right from Darjeeling, and if you move towards Southeast Asian region, a lot of species will get more than 12 or 13 species reported so far. The main the character, so the mouth is a little very small when compared to the other. It is like located in the ventral region, and the barbels are very small when compared to the other Bacridae catfish, very rudimentary type. So rest of the characters more or less similar with the other Bacridae. And Mistus already you will find very characteristic long the what is called the adipose dorsal fin, and the maxillary barbel is very long. The Hemibragus, the head shape is the one of the important character, and the dorso-ventrally compressed, especially the ventral side is it's flat almost, and around 6 species reported. And Western Ghats has even the Godavari has 1 species, Kaveri has another species. It's called Hemibragus, Hemibragus punctatus. And there are around 6 species reported, quite a large catfish. Easily you can recognize. Olira, you can easily find it. And the caudal fin is slightly variable. Sometimes you will find a oval shape, very elongated, upper lobe and lower lobe. So highly variable tail you will find. As Sparato, the head is dorsolaterally compressed, and from the dorsal surface it will go like a straight way. That is a way. It's very unique genus. Easily you can make out, and around 5 species so far, valid species there in the India as well as the Indian subcontinent. And the Ganga, it has 2 species, and Kaveri recently, recent papers there, Kaveri has separate species. Sparato sincala is there in the Kaveri. Then if you go to Krishna, you have a different species. Then the Ganga, you have R, then Limeri, and Aridais, there is another 1 species reported. And maybe a few more also there, but it's still we need to study and understand their diversity. Rita is a very peculiar species and very prominent spine on the dorsal, very strong, very piercing spine you will find in both the dorsal and I think even plates like a bony plate you will find in both sides of the body. So it's a very unique species. Easily you can make out the Rita genus. So moving to the next family, Chockidae. So only 1 genus is that, Chaka. It's a really weird catfish. In fact, the yesterday presentation, Dr. Viswanathan pointed out this one. It's he said it's like ugly fish, but it's of course it has charisma. Actually, it has a lot of market value, and it has an ecological role also. It's a weird catfish, and dorsolaterally compressed body, and the body is more robust in the anterior portion. When you move towards the posterior region, the tail is very narrow, and there are 2 dorsal fin you will find. One is at the middle, short dorsal fin with strong spine you will find. Second one is later one. It has a lot of soft rays. It confluent with the caudal fin actually. So these are the 2. Anyway, of course, nobody can't make any mistake if you get a Chaka or this weird catfish. So this is the salient feature of the Chaka. Mostly you'll find in the low land river, even Assam, then Bihar part in the Ganges, Hooghly area, even Godavari Delta. So these are the places so far it is reported. And moving to the next family, Siluridae, sorry, Claridae. So Claridae is the unique character. You will find the long dorsal fin without any spine. Similarly, ventral fin also very strong, and head is like very heavy, and also ventrally compressed body. So only if you see the fin itself, if you have a catfish with a very long dorsal fin as well as the long ventral fin, directly you can know it's a Claridae actually. And there is no spine in the dorsal as well as the ventral fin. I find the spine you will find in the pectoral fin. And they have a peculiar character. They are called air-breathing fish, and suprabranchial air sac you will find inside their gill, so they can take atmospheric air and store it, and you can directly take atmospheric air. So they cannot spend more time in the outside the water. Very hardy fish, Clarias, and there are many species in the India as well in the Southeast Asian region. So in Western Ghats, two prominent species I can say. One is Dusmuri, Clarias dusmuri. The another one is Clarias day. You will find, and the entire central India, Clarias magur is quite common. So here, the one of the important character we use for identifying, recognizing the species, the shape of the occipital process. Sometimes like a dome shape, or very triangle shape, and the width and length of the occipital process is one of the character, and the distance between the occipital process as well as the origin of dorsal fin another character, and the number of rays in the dorsal as well as the ventral fin. So these are some of the unique character. You can narrow down the species within the Claridae. There are another one genus Phoroglanis. Everybody know actually it's a very popular fish, actually blind catfish, and it's known from Kottayam and around Kochi. There are many reports, but there is a one person, Dr. Anna Mercy. She has done complete biology on this Phoroglanis. I think even I do not know. I haven't seen this fish. I love to see this. It's a blind catfish, mostly found in the subterranean or the wells in the southern part of Western Ghats. So moving to the next Heteropinistidae. So it's more or less similar to the Claridae and in their appearance, but only this the striking difference. There is no long dorsal fin. So dorsal fin is very short without any spine. So that's all actually. And again, you see, the ventral fin is quite long. So dorsal fin is short when compared to the Claridae. Otherwise, external appearance looks like like a Claridae. With this simple character, you can easily nail down this is a Heteropinistidae, and that is a Claridae. Second thing, the spines are very sharp and serrated one, and even if you get heat, actually you will feel a very painful thing, because this the spines are supported with like a kind of secretory cell. When it hit, and this protein molecules or whatever the molecules there that react and act like an antigen for our body, so our body also will react. So sometimes people also get a fever, actually people get a strong thing, so they call poisonous stinging catfish like that. But depending upon the person, the reaction will be different. So there is only one genus, Heteropinistidae. Everybody know actually, common and widely present everywhere. There is one more species there in the literature. That is Heteropinistidae microbes. And here in the literature says that the caudal peduncle is confluent within a ventral fin. But in fact, even myself, I did mistake when I was doing survey. So I identified this one as a microbes actually. In fact, this is actually malformation or deformation of the caudal fin as well as the caudal fin region. So that looks like like confluent caudal fin actually. Actually, this is not a valid one. It's like that's what when you go for fish sampling, collecting fish based on only one specimen, if you come up with a description, so that is doubtful actually. It may be like some variation, morphological adaptation, or some malformation. That's why always you need more paratypes, at least 5, 6 paratypes, so that the population is uniformly having the characters. So this is one the example I can say. This is the microbes it was described, but it is a deformed one. Myself, later on I realized, I looked at the X-ray pattern, so there is a malformed actually. There is a microbes is no more valid actually. So moving to the next genus, Bangasidae, and it's very popular fish. Any fish market you can see actually Bangasa they say actually. So Bangasidae. So they have a laterally compressed body, but the head is highly ventrally compressed. Only 2 pairs of barbels you will find. One of the maxillary barbels, another one pair in the chin region actually. So it's easily you can make out larger size fish. And Bangas is there in the the large river like Ganga and Brahmaputra. So there are 2 species reported. One is actually Bangasis. Another one is I'm not sure, but this is there in the Indo-Gangetic region. So moving to the another family, Horobagridae. In fact, Bagridae itself, it is very close to the Bagridae, but the external looks resemble like again Bangasidae. Because the Bangasidae you will have like the ventral fin is quite wide and long actually. Then laterally compressed body you will find. But the only difference between the Bangasidae and this Horobagridae, in a field observation, you will find exactly like the Bagridae, you find 4 pairs of barbels around the mouth. Okay, so again unique catfish. At the end, the genus is endemic to the Western Ghats. There are 2 species reported. One is Horobagrus brachyshoma, all along the west flowing rivers of Kerala, as well as some extent in the Karnataka. You will find very beautiful, brightly colored fish, commonly called a sun catfish, and can reach about 30 even 40 centimeter length. The second one is the Horobagrus nigricollisaris, which was described much later in 1995. I remember Portlet and Pitagode. So they described it from the Chalakudi River. Not only this, along with other 2 more species. So this is a very small when compared to the Brachyshoma. These 2 species are represent from the Horobagrus, and the entire genus is endemic to the Western Ghats region. So next one is Siluridae. I just in the beginning I told it's very similar to the Sylviidae because the laterally compressed body, and only the main difference the dorsal fin is very tiny and very long. The ventral fin you find easily you can make out Siluridae. There are 3 genus you will find: the Womback, Balago, and Pterocryptix. Pterocryptix are very small catfish, cryptic species. Mostly you'll find in the streams and the slow flowing small streams you'll find. So dorsal fin is very tiny, hair-like outgrowth, like there is no spine, and few rays you'll find 3 to 4 like you'll find. Ventral fin is long actually. There are 3 genus. Easily again we can make out. Nobody can't make any mistake. So Womback, you will find the lower jaw is elongated. So it's upper jaw and lower jaw, it's not uniform. So always find projected out actually, and the mouth opening is it's if you see from the side view, it will run up to the eye, in front of the eye. So it is a supraterminal. It's always facing towards the up. So that indicates the fish which is living in the surface layer actually. And second one is Pterocryptix. Cryptic species is very quite rare also. And Western Ghats there is one species called Pterocryptix wayanadensis. Here the mouth is little subterminal. It's not like supraterminal, subterminal, facing towards the ventral region. And the caudal fin is mostly you will find round or truncate shape actually. So that is the distinction between the Womback and Wallago. So Wallago too easily you can make out is a larger catfish. Simply from the mouth itself, you can identify it easily. It's a very wide mouth. The mouth opening, it extends beyond the eye. So that itself, you can easily narrow down. You can point out this is a Wallago too. There is one more genus. It is there in the literature, Pinno-Wallago. So I am trying to find out what is that. After description, there is no report actually. So the literature says that the above the the caudal peduncle region, there is one more fin actually. After description, there is no report actually. Pinno-Wallago actually. It is there in the literature. We'll see in due course of time whether we'll get or not. So moving to the last one, the Sisaridae catfish. And this is, yesterday you had an extensive, very nice presentation by Rameshwari, diverse of catfish. So one of the striking characteristics, either you will find like, thoracic adhesive pads are very common among this group, the abdominal region, or even the pad fins, the region you will find adhesive pad. There are group like, for example, this Bagarius, there is no adhesive apparatus, but other characters like you will find strong whip like the maxillary barbel base, very strong base you will find. The pectoral fin, serrated spine, no serration in the dorsal fin, but again, some of the cryptothorax still you will find, some of them you have find serration, but generally simple spine you will find in the dorsal thing. So the fish which is located here, this is one of the cryptic species, very unique. Yesterday there was some discussion about this fish, Parachyloclanus corkati, so which is quite common in Nepal, and being in the place, like the Western Himalaya, it is the border is shared by one river called Kali River. They call Mahakali. So the streams which is drying towards Mahakali, which is starting from Indian part, you will find this species. So if you see the distribution of this species, very, very interesting. So this Sisaridae catfish, it has a distribution from the Darjeeling Hill, then it comes up to here, then it ends exactly the Nepal border, Kali River. So beyond that, there is no distribution. The further Western Himalaya and Indus River Basin, you will have another species like a Cryptosterum. Cryptosterum will replace this one. Then if you move towards northeast region, after the Darjeeling, you will find Exostoma. So then it go up to Myanmar, then further the other group. So it's a very interesting distribution pattern. So one can really understand the functional morphology as well as the river valley formation and natural history distribution of this particular species. So that's all about my talk.